Hi, and welcome to another episode of Free Insights. A special treat for everyone today. We've got the fantastic Peter van Aartrijk, CEO of Aartrijk, which is a fantastic marketing and communications agency based in Virginia, USA. He's joining us today to talk about the critical issue of talent in the insurance industry. So, welcome, Peter.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, Lorraine. Nice to see you too.
Just to give our listeners a little bit of an intro, I know you as obviously I know you as a fellow board member on the IMCA,
Mhm.
but you are a man of many talents, right? You are a brand strategist, a podcaster, a published author, a sports junkie, and critically, a fellow insurance enthusiast.
Yeah,
So tell us a little
thank
bit.
you.
Let's start with a little bit about your journey into the insurance world.
Thanks, Lorraine. You might say insurance nerd too, as well as enthusiast. But well, I have to I have to pinch myself that it's been this incredible 42 years, Lorraine. I've been working around the insurance industry. Never as an underwriter necessarily, but so back in May of '82, this is a long time ago. I know, so I'm really dating myself at the young age of 23. So the very people we're talking about right now in your report on Gen Z and what they're going to do about the insurance industry and how we're going to track them. I was working for a local newspaper in New Jersey, a paper called the Home News, an afternoon daily back in the day. You can imagine that. And I was sitting in a town council meeting, and it was so painful. It was like 12:30 at night. I had a 10 a.m. deadline. I had to go to the paper and write it up on typewriters with whiteout, if anybody remembers whiteout. And so I'm driving to the office to type this up, and I'm thinking, this is insane. I cannot. I love journalism. I have a degree in it from Rutgers University. I loved writing. I still do. Um, but I said, I don't know if I can have a life, you know? So I finished the story. I went home and I took out another newspaper called the Newark Star Ledger, and I'm scanning the classified ads. So there's no Monster back then. There's no internet back then. No social media. It's literally the newspaper, right? And I found an ad for a writer for a company called AM Best. And I had no idea what it was. It was a total chance. And I'm driving down this rural road. Now it's a major highway to AMBS. And I started working in the magazine group. And next thing you know, I'm writing features on what's happening um, in the insurance industry. And I just found it so fascinating. But it was sort of by necessity I fell into it. And then after that, I went on to jobs in PR for the insurance industry at the Insurance Information Institute in New York. And then I went to join the Independent Insurance Agents and Brokers of America in Virginia as VP of Communications. And we had done a lot of consumer research and launched their consumer brand called Trusted Choice. But in 1999, I struck out on my own. It was literally me for the first couple of years with our firm called Aartrijk, um, which is a very difficult name. But it's a town in Belgium. My ancestors are from there, and now they all live in Holland, my relatives. So we're really proud of the name. Maybe that makes it unique. I mean, as you know, the best brands are unique and consistent. And so
Absolutely.
we kept the name despite having to pronounce it. I've been pronouncing it and saying it since kindergarten. I mean, it's insane. Anyway, so our firm. You summed it up. We're insurance a brand and marketing firm, and we do a lot of research too. I love your report. I
Thank
love
you.
this. I love this topic. I've been talking about this for years now, like by myself. And everybody always apologizes in the insurance industry about, oh, people don't understand us. It's like, guys, we got to change the game.
Yeah.
We got to stop this. We got to stop apologizing. We know the insurance industry is a rocket ship of opportunity, and we got to get out there. So I love your report, and I love the calls to action in it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Peter. I noticed that you're also a board member of an organization called Invest, who are all about talent, right?
Yeah, it's great. Thank you for saying that. Investprogram.org is the name. It's been around for 50 years. It originally started in Los Angeles by a group of independent insurance agents who felt that they wanted to educate consumers on insurance, not just to get them into the industry, but also to educate them about how insurance works and how policies protect people and why it's an important part of your financial protection, et cetera, et cetera. But now it has we've taken it through the organization through a rebrand of our own to be more focused on high school and community college students and getting them linked up with independent agents and brokers, mostly in the U.S. Because there is a need to not just break this cycle of, again, like I said, apologizing, but also really trying to show them for all the reasons in your report and a couple of others I wanted to bring up that this is a great career and
Yeah.
we can find jobs for you. So instead of going to a four-year school, or it's not instead of, but a lot of kids go to four-year schools and they'll get a liberal arts degree and they'll come out of school $100,000 in debt. Um, and it's a struggle because sometimes they don't know what they want to do, or go through the Invest program, be mentored by a local agent or broker or a national carrier, um, and put some money in your pocket, finish school, and come out of school with 40,000 in the bank
Yeah.
potentially. So it's not quite a school to job program yet, but there's some exciting things happening, and I just love, you see the light bulbs going off when you have a chance to talk to young people about the opportunity in the insurance industry.
Absolutely. And I think that's, um, it's one of the things that we don't do well enough. I think once people know about insurance, um, the light bulbs do go off. So, with that in mind, what are the things that businesses can do to better communicate, that story of the industry or their business? What do you think they can do?
Well, I think we have a couple of fundamental challenges, but they're easily overcome. When I say we, I mean the insurance industry. Again, I've never been a claims adjuster. I've never been an underwriter. I've always been on the periphery, but I've gotten to know these people, and they're great people. But the insurance industry tends to be run by transactional thinkers. I'm talking leaders. And listen, you can get in big trouble in insurance if you don't price it right,
Yeah.
if you don't market it within the law, and making over promises. And there's a lot of things. It's highly regulated, so you need transactional leaders who look at the numbers.
Mhm.
But I think if you think about dynamic organizations in the insurance industry as well, they are run by transformational leaders. So that's one thing I wanted to bring up today is that we need both. Um, One, transactional is getting the numbers right, management by objectives, things like that. Transformational leaders, they can transform lives. They embrace change. Change is like exciting for them. They're great communicators. So we need more of that kind of leadership in our industry. The other thing we do, again, necessarily because of how insurance works, we have silos. You have HR running culture, and you have marketing running brand. And my belief, and maybe you think so too, Lorraine, is that we all own it. Everybody owns culture. Everybody owns marketing in your organization. And so that if you have that philosophy, um, it can spread throughout the organization. And I think they could use the help in, say, writing recruitment ads to take the jargon out of it because they're just rinsing and repeating. That is a real interesting pinch point when you look at how they describe the job openings. It's a real tactical thing, but take the jargon out. Make it more exciting. The other thing I think, again, this is a more global thing. We have to market as insurance organizations our employer brand, the recruitment brand, at least as much as we market products and services.
Yeah.
People don't care about the stuff. They
Mm.
care about the people. And so why not lead with our people? Show our people. I know this is in your report too. Like we've got to do a better job of this. Don't hide behind stock art and colors and pictures of your buildings. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Show your people. And I think the third, maybe more global thing is I'm a boomer. Like boomers are retiring at the rate of 10,000 a day. We've had our time. There's a lot of jokes about how we did things work-wise, Lorraine. I'm not saying you're a boomer. I know I am because I just told you at age 23, I was 1982. But I'm excited about Gen Z. This is a huge generation, and they're coming in. They're already 1 in 4 workers. So they're about to be 1 in 3 in a few years' time. And I think they're going to change this from within. I think insurance is going to improve, and you're seeing it with InsurTech. You're seeing that excitement. So as consumers, they're going to change it. As insurance workers, they're going to change it. But I think we can accelerate that change with some smarter, marketing, as you alluded to in the report, which I have here on my other screen. It's a beautiful report, very well done. I've been waiting for this thing. I wish our firm had done it. Great research. I think people need to read this.
Great, thank you. And I love what you were saying about the employer brand and the employee value proposition as well. I think that's one of the things that, my background, my starting in insurance was actually in HR, and was always a frustration. Is you've got this, these really talented people, but it's how do you showcase that? And now is the opportunity. You're 100% right, bringing brand to that collective ownership and bringing marketing and HR together is absolutely fundamental.
I've seen, so this is not one of our clients here in the States, but I've so admired this company called Century Insurance in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And so all the things I just mentioned, they're already doing all
Yeah.
those things. They hire like 100 students from the local university, University of Wisconsin at Stevens Point, every year. Every year, they hire
Wow.
100 students. It's a big company, a lot of
Yeah.
different distribution channels. I talked to the head of HR, Mike Cloud, great guy.
Mhm.
Mike says they hire 100 a year just from that. They have other avenues too, but of the 100, he says about 80% hang around after a couple of years. If they hang around after a couple of years, they stay long term. So that's why they keep hiring, hiring, hiring. Not everybody stays. That's okay.
Yeah.
But the ones that stay make it a long career, which is, we need to show them what a cool industry it is. A lot of Gen Zs think that it's all about life insurance selling. Like I don't, I don't want to sell insurance. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's all about paper. But insurance has all these different jobs,
Yeah.
like legal, accounting, HR, marketing, creative design, sales, risk management. It's endless.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I always say to people that insurance professionals aren't just experts at insurance, right? They might be experts at space, sports, diving, horses, equestrian activities. There's so many things that if you're passionate about them, there is a really exciting career in insurance where you can follow those passions. And I keep saying to my son, he loves football. I'm like, you could go and be a sports broker. Absolutely. Travel the world, insure the different football clubs. You know all the things about all the players. But the
Yeah.
challenge is they look at it and go, they just see, as you say, that's, what's the personal lines selling insurance. So I suppose my question to you is how do we get better at showcasing that rich, diverse opportunities that are on offer?
Well, I think first, some basics. I think organizations need to take a hard look at whether they have a relevant current set of core values
Mhm.
that guide employee behavior. To me, it's like the only employee manual you ever need is a one-page list of 5 to 7 core values that are action statements, again, relevant to your organization. And that takes some introspective work. You can't just, it's not something you hang up in the cafeteria. People have to really believe their core values. I think storytelling is incredibly important, Lorraine.
Mhm.
We don't do a good enough job of it. Again,
Yeah.
getting away from stock art, stock characters, and getting into real people and showing them, doing their work, getting out in the field, at conferences, in the community. I mean, we know that Gen Z loves community service. It's not a nice to have. I mean, it's a demand. Insurance is one of the leading industries that supports national, local charities of all kinds. I mean, huge amounts of money, huge amount of time, from the local independent agent all the way up to big multinational carriers. So we've got to show more of that. I think so, telling stories there, but also showing the variety of, like, Gen Z doesn't want to get stuck. We say insurance is a very stable industry, and in a world that's crazy, stability is really important. Financial resilience, but it's also can be debilitating to somebody saying, well, I don't want to get stuck in the same job. I'm going to be in an office. Sounds boring, but showing just the variety of it. When you and I go to IMCA meetings, Lorraine, it's there's an incredible energy. Um, People are excited to see each other. It's very tribal, I've found, but there's so many other conferences, Risk World, global conference. A lot of them are in London. The underwriters get together, brokers get together, and they're just excited to be there. We have to bottle that up and use it in our marketing because Gen Z is very social, so they're going to see this. Hey, that looks like a pretty cool place to work.
Yeah.
You know,
So thinking about that, I love that storytelling and bottling that insurance experience. What are some tips to getting started with that?
what I like to recommend, and it's hard for us too because we're busy all the time as well. Is just take a step back.
Mhm.
Let's step back and let's get off our phones, off our computers, and just have a chat about what our strategy might be. Let's whiteboard some stuff. Get your people together and really think about some areas you could own in the products we're selling, in the story we're telling consumers, the story we're telling young people, and even mid-career people to want to work here, and try to own some of those messaging pillars, and then start to build some things around it. Maybe it's research. Maybe it's just somebody internally going around and talking to leaders and putting together like a kind of a manifesto on the areas of the world because insurance is extremely competitive,
Yeah.
which I think also kind of hurts us because for a consumer looking to work here, everything kind of looks the same.
Hmm.
The industry gets typecast as one big thing. We know it's not. But I think getting some separation from your competitors and thought leadership, which will lead to more of a recruitment story. I think that's important. So just taking a beat and marketing can lead this, but I think inviting the business sides, inviting HR, of course, and we've done this with some clients here in the States. It's a little awkward at first. What I find so interesting is that in these strategy meetings, which people come in a lot of times kicking and screaming, it's like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're like, oh, we've been talking about this for so long in the hallways, at the water cooler, over Zoom. We never really actually came together and came up with like, let's look at our core values. Let's look at our thought leadership. Let's look at how we describe what we sell here. Let's look at our job descriptions, the ads we're putting out there. This stuff, this doesn't look appealing. Like, how do we make this more interesting?
Mhm.
So I think that's what I would do first. And also, this may sound like a shameless plug, but I'm going to say it anyway. I've hired consultants in my career more than I've been hired as a consultant. I've had a long career. I think independent voices and facilitation are critical.
Mhm.
Um, and I doesn't have to be long term, but having some help in facilitating these strategic conversations is really important. The other thing I think you asked about, what can we do? Um, I One of the reasons I think Gen Z is because Zoomers or Boomers couldn't do it, Millennials couldn't do it, Gen X didn't do it. I think Zoomers will because the intersection of their coming into the workforce and technology impacting insurance, that's going to be the pivot point for me. So why not really, when you're talking about job descriptions and describing things, like lead with technology, even if you don't have it all figured out yet. Talk about cool InsurTechs that, projects that are going on in your company with innovation. Talk about AI.
Yeah.
Don't talk about claims adjusting. Talk about you get to fly drones to look at rooftops after damage. Talk about risk and risk management are cooler terms than insurance, right?
Yeah.
And you see that here in the States, there's like 35 um, risk risk management programs that they say risk management and insurance, sometimes they'll kind of hide the word insurance, but at universities, and they're very well respected. And there's a lot of students now coming in that way because risk kind of, there's a spark when it's, oh, risk management, that sounds cool, you
Yeah.
know? And it is cool. I think AI, InsurTech, talk about some of the projects you have going on. Don't hide them in the basement.
Yeah.
You know, let's get them out and talk about how, because it's AI, it's a little scary. I'm not an expert at it. I just know that insurance is, as an industry, is embracing it and trying to figure it out. So why not have that be part of your story, right? Is we're not just about policies. We're on the leading edge with everybody else.
I love that. So just before we wrap up, we covered a few of the key challenges in the report. Is there anything else, anything that we've missed or that you can see as a contributory factor to where we are now?
Um, well, I think you covered community service, the what people do in the industry for community service. The stability of the industry is key. The variety of jobs
Mm.
is key. This the uh, and the social side of insurance. How if it's people business, yeah, there's a lot of socialization, which is so interesting to young people. They're like that. That is a big aha for the ones I've spoken to in my work with Invest. But I think one relatively new area for the industry, again, run by transactional people who have to do things a certain way based on legislation and regulation, is that it's become a lot more flexible, the work environments. And I know there's a push and pull, not just insurance, but employment in general. But I think just showing the flexibility of the industry and the work environments, because I think a lot of young people don't want to get stuck. They don't want to get stuck coming in 5 days a week, sitting in the cubicle. They love the idea of maybe doing some side hustles for charity and things like that. So don't I think that has to be pushed harder by the insurance industry, the flexibility of it. And then um, this may not be a real kind of sexy marketing type thing, but just because you hire someone doesn't mean they're going to succeed if you don't spend time with them. We have to invest in people we hire so that they stay, um, but also be willing to let some shining stars leave. I mean, when people work at LinkedIn and they leave, the first thing they get is an invite to join the LinkedIn alumni club, because they know that these alumni might come back one day. So why not bring in people, show them what a great industry it is, but invest in them. Don't do what boomers did, which is do your job, keep your head down, 9 to 5, butts in the seats. That kind of mentality doesn't work with young people. We gotta show them the ropes and show them the variety of work and allow them to succeed over time. So otherwise, I think we have a good challenge. One thing before we go, I love the idea of an industry-wide campaign. And Invest is a small organization, but I wonder if there's a relatively small compared with the potential for something more global, or at least in the UK and the US, to rebrand the industry in some way. I don't have all the answers, but I feel like we have a lot of stake.
Yeah.
A lot of industries they don't have steak, they have sizzle, right? And they're trying to put lipstick on a pig. We know this is a great industry. We got the steak, we just need sizzle. We have to describe it differently as individual organizations, but also as an industry, I feel. So I wonder if there's something we could talk about more there down the road.
I would love to talk about that. I think that's something that we were hoping that this report would spark that conversation. And I know we do have some organizations here in London who are working on that. Um, but you're right, the power is joining up together, and a global rebrand, giving that sizzle
Hmm.
to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about the future for the Gen Zs. I think for all the reasons we talked about, I think they could really redefine all of this,
Well,
right?
Peter, thank you so much. As always, absolute pleasure to talk to you. And yeah, really looking forward to seeing you in Scottsdale next year for the
Yeah, that sounds
IMCA.
wonderful.
Be
Yeah,
a
at the
wonderful
conference
conference.
Ignite. I
Yeah,
can't wait. It's really cool. But I hope everybody who's listening to this, watching this, will think about their culture, lead with culture, show your people. Let's show them what a great industry this is. And we all have a responsibility at not just marketers, but everybody in the company should be doing this.
brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lorraine.